What's going on, guys? X3 here. So today I'm bringing you a two deck profiles. I know it's Easter, so happy Easter for people who do celebrate Easter. But today I'm bringing you two real quick deck profiles on Endymion and Odd Eyes. This one is more of a fun build. It's not really competitive, mainly being that there is a lot of things that you can stop, such as Ghost Ogre, Ash, Trolling Lockbird, Hermits as well, and Effect Rather. So there's a lot of ways you can really stop this deck. However, it's still a lot of fun to play. Being that I have play tested myself, Odd Eyes archetype inside of the Idiom's Mythical Beast deck profile, you could say. It is a lot of fun to play because they do add a little bit more versatility to the deck, and it's just a lot of fun. So without a doubt, let's go ahead and talk about it. So in this deck profile, we do run 3 Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum, 3 Odd Eyes Lancer. Lancer is kind of like an essential, I guess, quote unquote, hand trap, so to speak, because basically when they pendulum monster, then you run pretty much all your monsters that are pendulum except for your 3 Lancers and your 2 Gravities. But basically, when a pendulum monster would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you trigger the monster on board and you special summon this card in place of that one that was being destroyed. So that's very nice. They do run the 2 Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, 2 Founding Sorcerer Supreme, 3 Odd Eyes Pendulum, which basically with this card, it allows you to search at the end of your turn. You can search out Servant, being that you can't search out one pendulum monster from your deck with 1500 or less. So if you're needing to start off a combo, excuse me, you would search out, excuse me again, you would search out Servant. But mid game, you probably would search out Magister. That is the 2 targets in your deck that you can't search out for. You do have Mythical Beast Jack King, run 3 Fs. Basically, with this, you would search him off with this, and then you're able to special him back. But if you have 3 and you already have the 2, you're able to still special out one of them from the extra deck, which could come very handy late game. And then you have the 2 Magister, pretty much self-explanatory. Basically, like pendulum summoning off of him, but not actually pendulum summoning. You do run 2 Odd Eyes Mirage Dragon for the normal summon, and then the 3 Servant, again self-explanatory, special from the deck, and then this 2 Odd Eyes Gravity. This one is actually pretty much handy. Shout out to my boy D Money for actually making this deck. It is very this is kind of a saucy tech in this deck. So basically with this, you can return summon this card with Odd Eyes Advent. When this card is special summoned, you can return all spells trap cards your opponent controls to the hand. So basically, if you play a mirror match, not really a mirror match, but if you play idioms or pendulum magicians, there goes their skills. Your opponent cannot activate cards in response to this card's activation. You can only activate the Odd Eyes Gravity once per turn. Your opponent must pay 500 life points to activate a card's effect. So then you run your 2 Terraformings, your 1 Monster Reborn, your 3 Spell Power Control, 3 Odd Eyes Advent, and this says that you are able to, from hand or field, to the total levels equal to the or exceed the monster of the level of the ritual monster you are trying to summon. And then you play the 1 Ignite Reload, the 2 Sky Iris, and the 3 Sedatives. So you run a total of 5 field spells altogether. Sky Iris actually comes in handy a lot, mainly because if your Mythical Beast gets ashed, then you still have a way to out that scale. Then you run Odd Eyes Vortex, pretty much self-explanatory with your negate, Odd Eyes Swing, Odd Eyes Meteor Burst. This is a good extender for this deck. Then he runs the Cypher Blade, Full Metal Armor, Cypher. And then he runs Odd Eyes Raging, Odd Eyes Absolute, which is pretty much the key play, essential as far as going into another level 7 or rank 7 Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. The 1 Red Eyes Metal Flare, the 1 Boar Load, Skull Dread, Decode Talker, Tri-Gate Wizard, Nightmare Phoenix, and Heavy Metaphors. So yes, guys, that's pretty much it on the fun-based, kind of casual build for Mythical Beasts, Idioms, and Odd Eyes. Let's go ahead and go on to the other deck profile that I'll show you guys. This one's a little bit more competitive. I try to keep it that way. This is sitting around 43 to 45 cards. Let me make sure I got them all here. The actual only cards that I'm missing out of this deck, which I'm about to add back in here, I don't know why they're missing, is Magical Abductor. This card is actually very clutch, both in the pretty much pure build of idioms, and I believe they run it in Zephyrs, but this card actually does come very much in handy. Basically, you can search out any pendulum monster from your deck, as long as you remove 3 counters from it. With this build, I do find it's very easy to gain spell counters no matter what hand you're drawing into. So just going ahead and going into the actual deck itself, I do run 3 of the Founding Sorcerers. Pretty much the boss monster is pretty much a staple to go with Servant of Idiom. These 2 you must run 3 of, in my opinion. I do feel like that's correct. The 2 Magisters, that's pretty much mid-game, so you don't really want to see that early game, so 2 is just fine. And then you run the 3 Citadels. Now for the Mythical Beast package, I do run 2 Master Cerberus and 2 Jackal Kings. I do sometimes wish I had a 3rd one. However, I feel like I can still work with 2 because I had to make room in this deck. I do have Beast Jackal. Basically, you remove 3 counters when he's on the board, and you get the special any one of these 4 Mythical Beast monsters from your deck. I do run 3 Spell Power Patrol, which is basically the searcher of the deck, and does add more spell counters to whatever you hold that has spell counters. I do have 2 Terraforming. 1 mythical institution is what it's called in the TCG. Basically, what it says is if a mythical beast monster will be destroyed by a battle or a card effect, you put 2 counters on here, and then you move up to those counters, and then search out a card equal to the level of counters that you removed. So you're able to search out Servant off of this one as well. Foolish Burial and Dragon Shrine, pretty self-explanatory for the Dark Worm Gate 0 engine. Basically, it's have to bait out Ash. And then you have your 1 Upstart. I feel like 2 Pot of Desires is actually correct in this build, mainly because you do run so many copies of everything. It's pretty hard not to at least have something if you activate at least one of these. You have 1 Monster Reborn. 2 Royal Decree, which is, I keep it here in the main board just in case if I do run into anti-spell or Imperial Order. I do run in the Odd Eyes engine. I do run 1 Odd Eyes Lancer. He's pretty much searchable off of Sky Iris because you can add him to hand, and then in which case, if any one of your pendulum monsters, which every monster except for him is a pendulum monster, then you're able to tribute 1 monster, special summon him, and that's a free 3K beater on board. And then I do run the 3 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragons. With this card, you're able to search out Servant if you didn't open up with it at the end of your turn. On the end phase, if he's in scale, pop him, and then you search out either Servant or Magister. So that's very much handy. It does add a little bit more versatility and another way to search it out. And then you have 1 Noble Dragon. Basically, with this card, you only need 1 of. It definitely helps to get into a level 7 Xyz play. Or not Xyz, excuse me, a Synchro play to play Meteor Burst. And then if it is used as a for Synchro material, it is shuffled back into the deck. I do run 1 Odd Eye Synchron. Basically, with this one, that's to help go into my board Low Savage. If you have a Jackal King on board, and then you can go ahead and go into him using Synchron. How his end scales effect is pretty nice. You can target 1 Odd Eyes monster you control, and then treat it as a level 1 tuner. So that is very helpful at times if you have a level 7 on board, and then you do need to go ahead and go into a board Low Savage. You do run 1 Spiral Flame Strike. This is to pretty much out a card on board. And then if you have an Odd Eyes card, if not, then you're able to add 1 Odd Eyes from your deck to your hand, or from your extra deck to your hand. So there's two ways to search out an Odd Eyes monster that does come handy, plus you get the X spell counter to your board. I do run two Odd Eyes Arc Pendulums. This is actually pretty handy as well. Pretty much anytime an Odd Eyes monster will be destroyed by card effect or by battle, you get to special summon one from your hand, deck, or graveyard, one Sky Iris, and then the two Magical Abductors. Basically a generic search card for your entire deck. So that does come in handy and multiple times. So yes, guys, that is the main board. It's pretty much all searches off of one another, either very generic or very reliant on your own archetype. So it is very searchable. So I do believe that the Odd Eyes build is very handy. But again, that is totally up to you guys. If you do want to test play this, I do recommend it. But however, it is up to you guys. Going on to the extra deck, though, again, some of these cards, as I forgot to mention earlier, it's totally up to you how you want to play it. But going into the extra deck, I do play one Daybreaker in this build, mainly because of the fact that I couldn't really find anything else to put in this build for the extra deck, so I feel like he could be useful at times to pretty much just open up more room for Pendulum Summoning. The one Zephyr Metaltron, most of your cards are going to be Pendulum Summon back from your extra deck, so that is very helpful as well. One Heavy Metaphors. This card is a generic staple for every Pendulum deck that is being played right now, whether it be this build, the Zephyr build, the Pendulum Magicians that I know some people are still sticking to. They're not going to even play test this. I know a person like that. He's super serious about his Pendulum Magician, so that, shout out to you. That is your opinion. The Borlo Savage, you need a couple of negates in this deck. I do feel like having negations is very much so handy. So far, you're able to run at least 4. You can create a board 4 negates on board. A little bit more if you wanted to, because you do have your Vortex Dragon, you do have Borlo Savage, you do have your 2 Jackal Kings, and then if you're able to put more negates on board, like your idioms to negate the spell trap card activation, you pretty much are saying, what are you doing to this game? You'd have one Borlo Dragon, one Borlo Sword Dragon. I feel like those are definitely stables in any competitive deck that you do play, mainly because you're able to set up such a crazy board and then push for game if you need to. One Nightmare Unicorn, one Nightmare Phoenix. Again, these two I feel though are both staples, especially if you're looking at a big boss monster that can't be destroyed by card effects, and it's just too problematic and too big to swing over. And then the one Nightmare Phoenix for backward disruption. Your Vortex Dragon is pretty much a staple. And again, almost any Pendulum deck that is being played right now that you're able to put level 7s on board, I do feel like this is a good generic card. Not generic, but a good staple for the extra deck. One Odd Eyes Meteor Burst. This is actually coming handy. With this card, you're able to go into Vortex Dragon. Pretty much if you put Noble Dragon and a Odd Eyes monster on board, you sync into this one, and then you're able to play, if you have Idiom or an Odd Eyes monster in your zone, then you're able to play that, go into Absolute, and then, use his effect a couple of times. When he gets destroyed, put Vortex on board. Or you can go Red Eyes Metal Flare and then let your opponent burn for whatever. And then I do have one Summer Sork. I know this deck ain't all Pendulum spellcasters like it used to be. I do feel like this is still good versatility for the deck, mainly because I do have ways to not only play more spellcasters, but be able to put that option on board to where I can spit out another one if I need to. I do have one Decode Talker. Still really good generic lane 3 guys. He is a negate, a target negate, but negate nonetheless. Plus, he just becomes a 33 beater, maybe 38, depending on if your opponent decides to go ahead and put one in their zone that he points to. Once I'm a great Violet Chimera, I pretty much just try to stick to preparing myself for Solomon Greats and Sky Strikers, being that they're such big, heavy players right now. I know I don't run Secret Village in this build. Actually, I do. And the Cyborg, but it does get shut out if I start doing Odd Eyes plays, which is pretty much the last resort for me. In this deck, I do try to stick to the more generic spell counter portion of this deck, but it does add more versatility. So going into the sideboard, I do run the Third Warrior Decree, mainly because if I do play, what is it? What is that? Can't even think of it right now. Excuse me. But basically, if I do play a archetype that is very trap based, or if you guys put Imperial Order on board, or anti-spell fragrance, this card just allows me to say no, that's not gonna work. Two Drilling Lock words. This deck, the structured deck that is coming to Drilling Lock, so why not play them? That, and it's also good against Thunder Dragons, Sky Strikers, Solomon Grace, anything that really just says, well, I'm going to go ahead and draw, even though it's not my draw phase or search. You're not going to do that. The one Ash Blossom. I still feel like this deck does require at least one Ash. Even though there's a lot of negates and a lot of ways to out stuff, I do feel like, this just could be a good one-of in the deck. You don't really want to put too many hand traps in here because it will break so hard if you do. The two Dino Wrestlers, I do feel like this is a good ratio, mainly because even though this deck is still extremely pendulum-based, and you still do need ways to kind of out problematic boards. So plus he's just a free special summon, and it would help go into a link play. I am thinking about putting a rank 6 in here because it's so easy to put two King Jackals on board, or even Dino Wrestler playing the top. So I am thinking about putting, Naruto in this build. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that Naruto would be a good addition to the deck. I am very excited to hear. One Secret Village, just in case if I do play Sky Strikers, I can pretty much but at least take out one Citadel out of the deck and then put in one Secret Village. I don't want to take out Sky Iris because in case if I do need a way to destroy one of my cards on board to add a Odd Eyes, say if I do get ashed on either Cerberus and Scale and I can't search out King Jackal, I do have a way to out that. One Artifact Scythe. I do plan on making this either 2 in the sideboard, or I do plan on adding in Artifact Sanctum into this build. Mainly that way if I do go against a mirror match or anything that's extra deck reliant, such as Sky Strikers or Solomon Grace, I do have a way to out that. 2 Ghost Reaper, pretty much same thing. If I go against Solomon Grace, I can get rid of their OTK condition. And then if I do play against a mirror match, I do have a way to go ahead and get rid of any one of these 3 stable cards for these pendulum decks. Or if I do play against Sky Strikers, I'm definitely 100% sure they're running at least one of these cards in. One Super Poly, self-explanatory, put it by the Chimera. 2 Call Body Graves. This is still a very hand trap reliant format right now. It's not as much as it used to be, but it's still pretty good to run at least 2 offs. Again, if you run any more than 2, I feel like you might break with the card. Even though there is a lot of search, a lot of draw power into this deck, there is a way you can still break to it. Twin Twisters, 2 offs. Again, same reason that if you do run more than 2, I do feel like you will break that, and you don't really want to discard cards out of this deck, mainly because of the fact that you just really don't. Although you do run 3 of Idioms, so Twin Twisters ain't really necessary, but it's still a good card in case if you do run against a deck that is more back row reliant. So yes, guys, this has been Ace the Reaper with the 2 deck profiles that I promised you on both a competitive build of Odd Eyes Idioms and more of a friendly, casual build on them. I do hope you guys are having a great Easter, and this is Ace the Reaper signing out.